You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Severe flooding from Hilary to occur soon on tonight's live tropical weather bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical weather bulletin for August 20th. So we have these two systems that are active right now. Hilary, of course, absolutely the main event, headed very close now to the Baja California Peninsula, but also a tropical depression that has formed in the Atlantic, 6L, which is expected to remain a depression as it moves westwards. Let's look at the Atlantic first on day 81 of hurricane season, and what a mess we've got in store. 4 other areas of interest, 2 medium chances, 1 high chance and 1 lower chance. All of these systems could develop and it's going to be an absolute mess, and we'll want to talk about that a little bit. In the Eastern Pacific, Hilary is of course still the top story right now, but there's 2 other areas of interest behind that as well. A 40% near the coast of Central America for the next week, which could develop as it moves northwards. Of course, Hilary is the main headline, we'll talk about that shortly. 2 areas of interest in the Western Pacific as well, both at low chances at the moment, 10 and 20%. X-Land still active, and nothing else though in that area, but I think 13 different systems is enough to keep us going tonight that we've marked on tonight's tropical weather bulletin, which, you know what, that might actually be a record, I'm not sure. Indian Ocean looking fairly quiet there. Some monsoonal rainfall mainly over Indochina. Hilary then, Category 2, hurricane warning still in effect. It's 254 kilometers from San Carlos, 374 from Loreto, 950 from Tijuana, 977 from San Diego, and 1150 from Los Angeles, but it is going to get much faster in its movement towards the north-northwest over the next couple of days. It is starting to fall apart, which is some good news. The eye structure has failed, but it will still carry a lot of strength. Its forward motion will also carry it along. We'll get a brief musical crash here now as I switch over to my image here, and of course Hurricane Hilary, which now is down to, according to our estimates, 105 miles per hour, 964 millibars. NEC just came out with their advisory as well, going with 100 miles per hour, so they're actually a little bit lower than the fix that we came out with a couple of hours ago. My name is Nathan Foy here in the studio, and I'm joined by several other people, and that's an old graphic in the background there showing the imagery from the automated stream that we've also got running right now live, and I thought we had something covering that because it is out of date, so no, let's not get that. Let's get this image to show it instead. Infrared imagery there, but now let's first we'll be talking to a lot of people on our team, but the first person we're going to be speaking tonight is Chris. Hello, welcome.
Hello. So one of the things that I really noticed with this storm is how quickly it had the tendency to really fall apart. This storm had rapidly intensified very quickly. And as we know, it dropped a lot of rain very quickly when it made landfall. Just because the storm has died down doesn't mean the storm still does not pose a very serious threat. A lot of people will be like, oh, a storm has died down and it no longer poses such a significant threat. With storms, especially in this area in California, you never want to be off guard with hurricanes like this, with stuff that has the ability to, especially in the area California is. It's very rocky, it's very out of urban. So you never want to be caught off guard when you're dealing with a hurricane. Doesn't matter if it's a tropical depression or whatever. Just because it's weakened does not mean it still cannot drop a lot of rain and a lot of wind. And that's one of the things that a lot of the people on the West Coast are not accustomed to. They're not accustomed to the amount of rain and the amount of wind that's dropped. And us here on the East Coast, we're used to that. And most people in California are not used to like I said, the amount of rain and the amount of wind. But I do have some locations pulled up where you can go to get sandbags and stuff to where you can prepare if you need it. LA County, available at firehouses, Home Depots, multiple locations throughout the county. What you want to do is, if you are in Southern California in an area that has a hurricane or a tropical storm warning, and you're able to get to like a Home Depot or to a fire station, go online, figure out which fire station near you is filling sandbags, and get as many as you can. As many sandbags as you can. You want to make sure you have enough sandbags to prevent your house from flooding. Then the next thing you want to have is a battery-powered radio and a basic aid kit. If nobody was tuned in last night, a stream, I can wait until after, a little bit down the line, I can go over what is needed to be in a basic first aid kit. But I kind of just wanted to lead off being like, just because this storm is a Category 2 hurricane and is expected to make a tropical storm landfall does not mean this is not still a deadly storm.
Thank you for that. We're looking at some more imagery along the sides here, as well as those National Hurricane Center areas. Now, in a little twist of irony, the latest GFS model is projecting that the most rainfall will actually fall in the Death Valley area, which is quite astonishing. Death Valley only gets around 2 inches of rain per year and is currently forecasted to get 5 inches according to GFS, and actually on the ICON model it could get as much as 8 inches in that general vicinity. So it's quite extraordinary there. And there's the what's it called, the Badwater Lake, which can, it's salt flats usually, but sometimes a lake can form when there's enough rain that forms there. And with that amount of rainfall, you'd probably see a lake there for about 2 years, which is quite crazy. But anyways, as well as that, just to give people a little bit of a comparison between what the situation we were looking at last night to now. Los Angeles, they had a 17% chance of storm conditions yesterday. It's gone down slightly to 13%, and in San Bernardino it was 23% yesterday, and that has risen over there to 30%. So just a little barometer there of what to expect further towards the north there. San Diego, I didn't quite catch what those chances were. Let's see if we can have a look together here on the National Hurricane Center's latest wind props. There they are. So San Diego, around about 50 to 55% there by the looks of things at least. So certainly a pretty decent chance of seeing tropical storm force winds there. And the highest chance in the United States would be along Interstate 8 between San Diego and Mexicali, somewhere along that area, probably in the mountains, that fairly small mountain pass that happens along that interstate. And further north, there's 1 or 2 tiny areas of Nevada that might have a chance of 10% for tropical storm force winds. Now, the good news is that the 50 knot and hurricane force wind charts have decreased. I can't show you those, I don't have them, but they have decreased. So I'm pretty confident that California will not receive sustained winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. That is word from the National Hurricane Center, and they have it at lower than 5%. So, I think it's lower than 10%. So I think those chances for the higher wind bands have gone down. Let's talk to a few people here. Let's first talk to Corgi, because you are in that area, not too far from LA. How are you today?
Hello. Thank you, Nathan. I am currently doing quite well, actually. I've just been at my computer animating a hurricane season pretty much all
Uh-huh.
day, but right now, I have noticed a bit of wind is starting to pick up a little bit, although it's nothing out of the ordinary here, and it's kind of cloudy here, but no rain has started falling yet, although this could quickly change come tomorrow, as, the rain has started, I mean, it's expected to move into the San Bernardino area around later tomorrow on Sunday, so I'm still not sure what will happen. However, for my area, the forecast says 4 inches will fall, which is some of the highest for the main forecasts, although this could change quickly as the forecasts are always constantly updating, and there is still some uncertainty what will happen with Hilary as it goes into California. But as stated earlier, tropical storm warnings have still been issued for San Diego, Orange, Los Angeles, and Riverside and San Bernardino counties, which is a large population center for California. So a lot of people could be affected by this storm. But it is still uncertain what will happen. I am just hoping that a lot of people take this seriously. But that's pretty
Now,
much all I have to say.
well, we will in a little while take a look at some super close-ups of the rainfall expectations from the GFS. But we're seeing on the satellite right now there's quite a lot of cloud cover entering your area, moving quite quickly northwards. How is the weather there right now? Maybe one or two little bits of rain near you.
Um, well, honestly, I'll just have to look out my door right now, but from what I could tell, I mean, let me just check my weather app right now, but right now it is not too bad. There has the
No.
chance of thunderstorms from tomorrow has risen from 90 to 100%, and then of course 40% chance for Monday, and I do have a tropical storm warning issued
Of course.
for me. So
I was just wondering how cloudy it is outside.
oh, okay. But yeah, it is kind of cloudy outside. Uh, I can't really see much of the sun, but it is still somewhat bright, but not like, as in like the entire sky is like fully covered in dark. That's
All right.
really just what I have to say.
Let's talk to Patrick right now, and as I do that, I'll load up the latest rainfall expectations. Patrick, one of our US leads, thoughts on the current situation with Hilary, and it's going to be a massive rainfall threat more than anything else, isn't it?
Absolutely, Nathan. Thank you so much. I am currently outside right now, as you can clearly see, but I do want to point out here that the Weather Prediction Center, obviously, you mentioned here with the massive concern. Prediction Center has gone ahead and connected both the high risks for excessive rainfall. So now we have one large high risk right now. I think, Nathan, you can also pull that up on your screen. I did send it in live discussion. The Outlook, if
Oh,
you do want to pull it up. Okay, so this basically,
wait a minute.
yeah, I put it in live. Yeah, I put it in live discussion. I thank you on it. So basically, the Weather Prediction Center has gone ahead and expanded the high risk to now include Both high
Wow.
risks merged together. This includes Death Valley, portions of the Mojave Valley, in California, extend to the California-Mexico border, including areas of Imperial, Riverside, San Bernardino, Los Angeles, and San Diego counties. The moderate risk has also been expanded further into South Central and Central Nevada, as well as basically this has been trimmed away from Arizona. This does not include portions of the western Mojave Valley. However, this is a connected high risk, and they do state specifically that catastrophic to life-threatening flooding is likely. And we have currently seen several flash flood warnings actually are currently out in the northern side of the state of California. There also exists a flash flood warning in southwestern Utah. This is going to be an extremely dangerous situation regardless of Hilary weakening, given the fact that a lot of moisture has advected northward of the system. It is very saturated in the atmosphere for conditions to be very favorable for thunderstorm development, including heavy rainfall, which will contribute to excessive runoff, as well as the potential for the catastrophic life-threatening flash flooding. I also do want to point out here that there does exist the potential for tornadoes as well across portions of southeastern California into western Arizona. Based off of the latest model guidance here, we are seeing some pretty stout conditions. There is a little bit of uncertainty regarding boundary layer moisture content, basically moisture in the mid levels of the atmosphere, basically, which is going to contribute to that tornado threat. However, conditions are going to be quite favorable if storms do interact with the environment that is going to be setting up. We could see the potential.
And at that moment, we lost him.
Here, and I do unfortunately. Yeah, I do have to step away actually, so I'll throw it over to Samuel to take over from me.
Sam, hello.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Patrick. But yes, going off of what Patrick was saying, there is definitely going to be a non-zero tornado threat, typically which are typically associated with the right front quadrant parts of the storm, and is exactly what we are going to be seeing happen here in southeastern California, as well as parts of far northern parts of the California Peninsula, going up to the Mexico border with California. But yeah, if you do get enough of those mergers that happen with these cells, that can increase the vorticity in those storms, which can make them more susceptible to putting down tornadoes. And I definitely wouldn't rule out potentially a significant tornado. However, it's not very likely to happen given the lack of vorticity. Um, Strong surface vorticity there. Not saying it won't happen, but you definitely want to prepare in case that does happen. Now, what you might see is that you could some areas could be put under tornado warnings while simultaneously being under a flash flood warning. And what you want to do if you are under both a flash flood warning and a tornado warning is you need to prioritize the tornado warning first. Tornado warnings are more immediate. Tornadoes present more immediate threats to life and property than do flash floods. So what you want to do is you want to first get to the lowest level of your home or business, and you want to be on the lowest floor um, during that tornado warning. Once that tornado warning is lifted, then you immediately go to higher ground to protect yourself from floodwaters. And that 2% tornado risk that was issued by the Storm Prediction Center does extend all the way up into the far southern tip of Nevada, including parts of the southern Las Vegas metro area. So definitely, uh, so I do want to add that these areas typically do not see tornadoes in a historical sense. So you want to make sure that you have a preparedness plan in action for all severe hazards. Basically tornadoes, but also definitely more so with the flash flood threat. And I do want to, which does give me a segue into what you should be doing if you are put under a flash flood warning or any other flood related alert. So you want to make sure that you are staying as far away from floodwaters as possible, as failing to evacuate flooded areas can result in injury or death. So you want to make sure that you are getting to high ground whenever you are put under these flood warnings, especially for those who are in the moderate area risk areas and all the way into the slight risk areas, and even some local areas in the marginal risk, which is going to be again uh, huge flash, hugely driven by Hurricane Hilary, which will become a tropical storm before it makes landfall um, near California. So what you should do if you're under a flood warning, you want to seek higher ground. You want to determine your best protection based on the type of flooding that you have. If you are told by local officials to evacuate your area, you have to do so, as that will save your life. You want to move to a higher ground or a higher floor, depending on what kind of structure you are in. You want to make sure that you are not driving. If you are driving, that you avoid flooded areas at all costs, as it only takes six as little as 6 inches of water to sweep away a vehicle. You want to make sure that you are staying off bridges over fast-moving water. So that is basically what the main message is here for those who are in the path of Hilary, as really tropical storm force winds are really not going to be that more impactful than Santa Ana winds are typically which are drier winds, but still, you want to make sure that you are preparing for potentially historic and potentially catastrophic flash flooding in some areas, as well as a non-zero tornado risk.
Yes, the National Weather Service put out a graphic to that effect, what you were talking about there regarding flooding threats and how much it can take to take you out, basically. Well, here's what they put out from the Hanford, California office. 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock over and carry away an adult. 12 inches can carry away a small car, and 18 to 24 inches of fast-moving water can carry away most large SUVs, vans, and trucks. It's for some people a surprisingly small amount that it takes to really wash you away. So that's why they always put those warnings, and I saw that they were aggressively messaging to tell people to completely avoid roads that have been closed. They're being closed for a reason, and to not try and get around it. Cesar is with us as well this evening, and I'd like to hear from him. He's in Mexico, on the other side albeit, but I just wonder if you've got any thoughts on the storm today, and whether you've heard anything from the other side in Baja California.
Well, so far in Baja California is looking good. Of course, people are taking all the precautions, are following the local authorities' instructions. So far, so good. But what I'm really find concerning is about the last frames of Hilary that is moving more to the north rather than northwestwards. So practically, this means I could make a possible landfall if it continues like that, possibly in Puerto San Carlos. It's on the extreme left of the state of Baja California Sur, and then practically move all over Baja California state. And this is going to be a really concerning situation for the people in Baja California, since they haven't experienced a tropical cyclone that strong many years, and it's a pretty much dry place as well. Practically the whole rain they receive is by the hurricanes, that somewhat get there. So of course the rainfall accumulations is practically almost the same as the threats in California, with severe flash flooding and roads getting completely flooded. So of course they're avoiding the roads. It's the main instruction. But so far the people are getting prepared, as far as I'm getting noticed. The local news are following the storm really close, and well, hoping the best for the people in Baja California, of course.
We're looking at it on visible imagery again here as it's getting late in the day now. We're starting to lose a little bit of light on that visible imagery, but we'll probably be good to go for another hour or so before it gets too dark. And there isn't a huge amount of rain falling over the peninsula right now by the looks of things. There's a lot of cloud cover, but most of the deep convection is still offshore, and there's one or two little bursts of deep convection as well on the other side of the peninsula of the Gulf of California there, which you can see towards the top of the image. So it's hit and miss there right now for Baja California. Big question mark whether it makes landfall on that area that juts out. What's it called again, Cesar, that area?
That area it's called Puerto San Carlos.
Puerto San Carlos. The bit that sticks out.
Yeah, that's the extreme left on Baja California Sur state.
Yeah, so we can't rule out that there'll be a landfall there. If it did happen, it would be in the early hours of the morning local time, and then its primary landfall, what I would call it, further north, where we expect it will probably be close to. We were talking about this off the air earlier, Cesar, weren't we? Just south of
San Quintin, I think.
Yeah, just north of there, actually, north of San Quintin, for a possible primary landfall, as probably a borderline hurricane by that point, and weaken to a tropical storm, maybe a 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm by the time it enters Southern California. And this will all happen very quickly as well over the course of Sunday, and some areas may only receive tropical storm force winds for a couple of hours, with the storm moving so much more quickly by that point. Maybe a bit longer in some other areas, but certainly the wind will be getting up areas that aren't used to it. And then of course really heavy rainfall, could be torrential. The rain rate sometimes may be worse than the actual rainfall total. Now, before I go any further, I want to show you some super close-ups here of some of the areas that we're looking at. So the San Diego area here, 2.4 inches depicted by the GFS model. Higher to the north, Solana Beach, 2.8 that is currently being projected. Looking over towards the east here, north of Borrego Springs, 3.3 inches. Palm Springs there, 3 inches. Desert Hot Springs just around 3 as well, higher in the neighboring hills there. Now look towards Los Angeles, in the LA metro area. Rainfall amounts are actually going to stay quite low. 1.5 in Long Beach, still high by local standards, I'd imagine. 2 inches in Los Angeles Central, and to the east there, as we get towards those hills, it really starts rising up to 4.6 on some of those mountains to the north, to the northeast. Large areas of higher rainfall. And then as we move on northwards here towards Lancaster, 3.5, California City, 3.4. There is a warning, a severe weather statement here already. Ridgecrest and northward of there, really high amounts. Death Valley, I think one of these is Death Valley, I can't remember which, but 5 inches for both of these valleys here, and on the neighboring hills that separate them, 5.5 pushing close to 6 inches on some of those mountains. So really insane rainfall amounts. There's already a flash flood warning up here. I don't know what that covers. Is it a populated place? I'm not seeing any. Between Lone Pine and Big Pine. Again, I'm not too familiar with these areas personally. We don't cover this very much in the tropics. 4.6, 4.7 entering Nevada now. Still some significant amounts just over the border. So really crazy rainfall that we're looking at for those areas. Once again, a reminder that Death Valley on average receives 2 inches of rain per year, and they're expecting 5 from this storm event. Jonesy, you're joining us now as well, another one of our US team leads. Thanks for joining us, and your thoughts on Hilary and its rainfall potential.
Hello. I'm also working on the U.S. tropical weather outlook as we speak. But yeah, no, this is definitely some very dangerous rain. Obviously, what was the Eastern Pacific K-named storm last year?
K? No, was that the previous one?
No, I think it actually was K. So, um, they had K come up into this area last year, but K was not as strong of a system as Hilary is and was. K, they were saying that it was going to get up there as a tropical storm. By the time it got up there, I think it was only a depression, and it did drop a nice amount of rain, but not the amount of rain that we're going to. It was also a much smaller system compared to Hilary. Hilary is a much larger system, and you can already see it starting to lose somewhat its tropical characteristics as it goes through the California current, although it's definitely still tropical, but it's definitely starting to become more messy. So, like what we were saying last night, this is something we've not seen in this area in nearly 85 years. So, definitely, for those that are here along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, this is something that we're just used to. There's always going to be that threat of a tropical system every year. And sometimes some storms are worse than others. The West Coast, has that luxury because of the California current, which is the opposite of the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream takes warm water from the Gulf, takes it off the east coast of the U.S., and then shoots it across the Atlantic over towards, the U.K. and Ireland. And that's why, their heat waves are kind of like Florida humidity when they get heat waves. For the West Coast, for California, Oregon, Washington, it's the complete opposite. They have that cold current coming down from Alaska, BC, and all that has the cold water and keeps those sea surface temperatures usually colder. And that's why you don't really see systems, ride up the West Coast like this. And when they do, they end up dying off. This is an El Nino year, so the sea surface temperatures in this area, and as we usually show on the tropical weather bulletin, the anomalies, they're above average in these areas. So they're going to get a once in a lifetime storm. And you definitely need to make sure that your preparations are done tonight. The National Hurricane Center has it very close to the U.S. and Mexico border by noon tomorrow, and it'll probably get into California by probably the evening time. But you're going to start to see the effects of the system. If you're not already seeing them now, you're going to definitely be seeing them before the storm gets to California tomorrow. So your time is quickly running out to prepare. So definitely listen to your local officials. Listen to the national officials, because we want to make sure everybody stays safe from this really once-in-a-lifetime system. The only somewhat comparisons that for some people when it comes to rain is Linda of 97 was another
Nora.
System. And, Nora was more... Well, Nora was for Mexico. Linda is more for the Eastern Pacific, for California and all that. Linda, I'm not sure if Linda got to California as a tropical storm in in 97. I don't think it did. I think it was just its remnants, but it was another one of those
systems. Sea surface temperature anomalies, just want to pick up on that. Very warm compared to average off the tip of Baja California, which may have helped the storm along a little bit in the last couple of days. They do go down to near average as the storm continues northwestwards. Not that it means very much, because those temperatures off the coast of San Diego are around 19 degrees Celsius. So that will kill it off. But in the Gulf of California, though, right the way up to the top, those sea surface temperatures are still around 30 to 31 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, so essentially with that is definitely with the temperatures. I am looking a little more with Linda, and I remember people were talking about Linda of 97 when it was an extratropical tropical storm force system. The reason that was able to last for so long off the coast of Baja California, and as it went into California, was because 97 was also an El Nino year. So I don't think it was one of those 97 systems. Maybe it was Nora, maybe it was Linda. I'm not sure. It was one of those 98 systems. Regardless, it caused the just like Hilary to definitely strengthen and have a lot of moisture in it, and to cause a lot of rainfall there. So we're not saying that this is going to be the norm with El Nino years, but definitely this is once in a lifetime type stuff.
Right, we got some questions here.
Stay safe.
Not Mr. Popular says, when was the last time the entire Baja California area was impacted by a tropical cyclone? The only closest I can think of is Odile in 2014. And that is the right answer, because Odile, if we're talking scientifically here, is the storm that actually tracked the most distance over the peninsula during its lifetime. It went 3/4 of the way up there before it branched back off. Another one that you might want to consider is... which would it go? I've lost it now. Yes, Hurricane Katrina, the original. 1967, ran up one side at first and then all the way up the other side of the Baja California Peninsula, and then curved towards the east. I mean, I can explain it to you. I can actually show you. There is the track of ye old Katrina, not the one that most people know about. That was a Category 1 all the way through there. So that was just one such track. In terms of impacts, I guess that one wins over Odile, because all of the peninsula saw that. But the very northern tip didn't get Odile. But Odile actually tracked over land for the longest amount of time.
I will say, yeah, Samuel, you were right. It was Nora. I think I read a article wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, you were right. It was Nora.
Marlene says, do you think the remnants will hit southern British Columbia or Alberta? Canada impacts, folks. Any thoughts?
Well,
Very unlikely.
the remnant.
Unlikely. Its remnants aren't likely to go all the way up there, although, I mean, Oregon could get some rain, theoretically, although that would be basically almost unrelated to the storm, other than, like, something. But
Okay, I'm gonna correct y'all here, because I was looking at the SPC's forecast earlier. If you're talking about tropical storm force winds, no, you're not gonna get any of that.
no.
Well,
I
up
mean,
there.
Oregon could get
And
some rain,
the,
but, like,
the low level circulation is going to be gone at that point.
yes.
But what the SPC is expecting is the mid-level remnants, and here's exactly what they are saying. Within a large, this is no severe thunderstorm forecast for day 3, but this is what they say. A large, strong middle ridge will remain centered across the central Great Plains of the Mississippi Valley, blah, blah, blah. Within a confluent regime between this feature and mid-level tropping, very slow migrating inland across the Pacific Northwest, the weakening mid-level remnants of Hilary are forecasted to accelerate across the northern Intermountain region and Rockies into the the Canadian prairies. So there are going to be some impacts for those in Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but that's just going to be more. Hilary's just going to become a different, a more continental low pressure system at that point
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
than a tropical low pressure system, and you may get some severe weather up there in the Canadian prairies, up there in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and that's going to be in the day 3 to 4 time period of Monday into Tuesday.
Yes, however,
But definitely going to get some rain.
Yeah, that rain and severe weather would probably not be much related to the storm, as it would basically, the remnants would already combine, as Jonesy said earlier, and so it probably wouldn't be directly attributed to it.
But it's not even going to be severe. It's only going to be like drizzle and cloudy. So there's not really
Yeah.
going to be a bad thing.
Low pressure front.
Someone said 98L is a tropical depression. Well, is it 98L?
I don't even know which
I don't
one's
know.
which. If
I
I'm
don't
being
know.
honest.
Not
We got
99.
6L.
99L is the one that became a tropical depression. Although people have been saying that 98 might become one soon.
Let's take a little look then at the Atlantic, since people are talking about that. There it is in its glory. And you can see several systems that are active. 6L was the tropical depression that recently got designated. That's the one you might want to say it's in the middle, east of the Lesser Antilles. To be honest, the one on the left there, going through the Lesser Antilles, is looking pretty good on that imagery, and so is the other one to the east. And latest estimates suggest that it might be up to 40 miles per hour, the one in the east, and could therefore become a tropical storm soon. I don't really know what NHC are waiting for. There's decent convection, and I would imagine there's a good circulation under there.
Yeah, and I was talking about that last night, and even when we were showing the U.S. tropical weather update, is you basically had a little bit of an exposed low-level circulation, but you had bands surrounding it on the north and the south side. Now, though, tonight it looks like that there's definitely that low-level circulation is completely covered. So I would not be surprised if we get something going there soon. The NHC has 70% odds out on that. As well as 70% odds now for the one in the Lesser Antilles.
Yep.
And they still have 50% odds for the one that's right over the Florida Peninsula, Florida Keys area that will go towards the Western Gulf. So
I think they'll take that down soon. There's still one or two models that have it developing real. I mean, sometimes you can get storms that develop super quick over there in the Gulf, can't you?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that, but we might get 3 quick-hitting tropical depressions there in the MDR. Probably conditions will not be favorable for long, though.
I just want to check that the Atlantic imagery is up to date, because the Eastern Pacific one there is not. Why is that? I'm trying to figure out why that is not up to date. I think I know. Does this work? Of course it doesn't. How do I sort that out? I can't remember anymore. I'll try and figure that one out. Looking quickly at the Western Pacific right now, that's what it currently looks like whilst we're going through all the basins here. You can see 1-2 little areas of convection that are blowing up around there. Nothing too spectacular though at the moment.
Yep. So 99W is somewhere, I'm not sure where, and it looks like the 98W will not be with us much longer as it went through the Koreas and is quickly weakening.
Alright, here we go. We've got the latest on the Eastern Pacific here. You can see Hilary really shooting off now towards the north-northwest, speeding up in its motion. Behind that, 2 areas of interest that we have now designated, 40% near the coast of Costa Rica, which will eventually start to show itself a bit more. And to the west of that, all of that general disturbed weather there could end up forming later next week as well. In short, it makes for a terribly busy tropics right now.
Well, we are getting towards September, peak season, North
I mean,
Hemisphere.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
what it?
intense
you know what?
tropics right now, probably not a lot, but busy, yes, definitely. We're getting towards that, active period with late August and all of September, which is, prime time for tropical cyclone development. And I mean, usually, in the East Pacific, even the East Pacific and also more famously the Atlantic, but pretty much everyone in these basins should, at least keep an eye out for possible storms that could actually form pretty soon.
It does look like that. I'm not sure about necessarily Greg's remnants, but Fernando's remnants are still traceable. I could still see that low level
They
circulation. Yeah, I could still
Yeah.
see that low level circulation heading towards the Hawaiian Islands on the 2-day graphical because
It's
it has.
unlikely to
imagery.
probably reform, but it's still definitely there. So yeah.
It's there.
If we take you to the
Dora.
full imagery here, you'll see it all. There it is. So, just quickly looking at this while she mentioned it. Fernanda's remnants, slowly moving towards Hawaii, could enhance winds slightly through the Big Island, and the one directly above it, I think it's
That's Maui,
Maui.
which has been dealing with the fires, unfortunately.
so winds may be slightly enhanced there, and to be honest, the remnants of Greg are putting up a fight. You can see it there, the convection. Yeah. Looking
Maybe
decent.
it does.
Dora.
Maybe it does something into the West Pacific. Who knows?
I mean, it could
I
become
doubt
like
it.
Greg.
And
What-
yes, the remnants of Dora are still active. They're there.
Still
Uh,
still a
Wait,
closed
Dora's remnants are
circulation.
still thing?
Wow.
Dora still has
Um,
a closed circulation.
Well, I guess
I'm
Dora
not
is
sure,
as
but
as
it's still
I
there.
mean, I guess I could. I mean, we could make a comparison with Dora being kind of similar to John, although not. I mean, like,
What?
as in like
I don't
not.
know.
possible- I mean, not
No.
like
Yeah. I was gonna
not
say.
being so far.
I was gonna
but
say, did Dora's remnants not combine with Lamb when Lamb shot off past
Nope,
Kamchatka?
Lan is
That's a
still
problem.
traceable as well.
yeah, land is still traceable near the Kamchatka Peninsula, or
Ah,
maybe even the
Kamchatka.
Aleutian Islands. I don't have a map right now, so I'm just
Sort of.
guessing. But
You know what I was
yeah.
looking at, Nathan? And I'm looking here at the NHC's website. That 20% that they have, that's not even for the area by Costa Rica. That's for
Yeah.
something else that they
Yeah.
have that would be middle to late next week. They don't even have
Yeah,
that
we marked
area
that.
marked. So,
Yeah.
looks like there's might be
Alright.
2 areas to watch in the East Pac.
Yeah, there is. I reckon so. We're about to lose light over Hilary by the looks of things here on this satellite imagery, but this is the main subject, of course, on this evening's tropical weather bulletin. Its bands are definitely sweeping up through the region, and I'm seeing a few little stormy areas as well that have broken out towards the northwest of Los Angeles to that big valley there must have a name.
By Bakersfield and Fresno.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
I do not
forgot
know
what
the
it
name of
is.
it either, since I
don't,
only
and
really
you're
know
in
the geography
California.
of Southern California, not Central. So
Oh, man.
unfortunately, I cannot tell you what
And
it is.
Las
but-
Vegas and vicinity also looks like they could be getting a little bit of a hammering shortly.
I mean,
It-
honestly, for Las Vegas, there is one positive. Lake Mead is facing a severe, crisis, which it basically supplies pretty much all of Las Vegas with its water supply and is being used up very quickly. So this rain could definitely help it. Although, we're just hoping that nobody gets severely impacted from Hilary's remnants. But and even then, after Hilary passes through the southwestern United States, we're expected to get a pretty potent heat wave with I believe, if I'm not wrong, an area of high pressure is currently building, so that could affect California, Nevada, and those areas after Hilary passes. So
I believe.
this,
Go ahead.
the southwestern United States, to say the least, is in for quite a wild next 7 days in weather. So,
Whilst we look at these pictures, let's take a few more comments and questions from
I
viewers. And feel
believe
free
what
to
you're
send
looking
them.
for, Nathan, because it's a giant valley there. all the way
Yes.
up from Northern California and Redding down through Bakersfield. I believe it's called the Central Valley, according to
Well, that was easy.
Wikipedia. The official valley range of where Bakersfield is, though, is because it's made up of many valleys, is called the San Joaquin Valley.
All right. Let's take some questions. Any possible lightning bolts in Hilary? I've not been able to find that out, so I don't know. What are the chances of Seola forming today in the Western Pacific? Near nil. Near nil, Alex. Marlene says that they need the rain. Are we still talking about Canada there? I'm not sure.
Not anymore, but
And how big is Hilary now compared to yesterday's update? Not really been keeping track of it, but I imagine that it's certainly stretching out in a lateral sense. So I think it's quite a bit larger than it was yesterday. It's stretched out north to south.
yeah, it's definitely going to be expanding like that, and you might have the wind field expand a bit as it and that's what the models were showing. A lot of Nevada possibly have tropical storm force winds. It's going to, as it starts to do that extratropical transition, it's going to definitely have the expanding of the wind field. I mean, that's essentially what we saw here on the East Coast back in 2012 with Sandy as it was turning extratropical. That wind field was expanding, and the winds ended up going all the way from the coast all the way to Chicago, over 1,000 miles away. Now, we're not saying Hillary's going to do that, but that
No.
wind field's definitely going to expand as it
No.
becomes an extratropical cyclone.
No.
And it
not
definitely
really.
won't be as severe as Sandy
And
as
yeah,
well.
it
Don't you
definitely,
worry.
it definitely won't be as severe.
It won't have hurricane force winds. And even then, its wind field, by the time, it gets into California proper, will be very sad, to say the least, in terms of, I mean, from a storm's perspective, of a human's perspective, that's a good thing, but just saying, it'll have like a sustained wind field, very small compared to what it had, where it was a behemoth of a storm, to say the least, earlier. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a good thing, but it could still, it is still going to dump lots of rain on Southern California. So
Now, Mario is at Venice Beach and says that it's all calm and still partly sunny right now. And feel
Yes.
free to send in your observations if it is safe to do so. And if you want to send us anything on social media as well, videos and images, or link us to things that you've taken and put online during this event, feel free. It would be great if we could share some of these things out on the air as it happens. I doubt there's too much going on in these areas right now, but certainly
Yeah.
some of these storms right now with those red areas on the radar, certainly a concern for flash flooding.
Yeah, right now it's just normal and it's just nondescript out right now. Kind of cloudy and overcast, but that's really all there is. From anyone who isn't even aware of the storm, it doesn't look like anything would happen. It just looks like just a normal cloudy day, so nothing, unusual going on. And then of course, Hillary's remnants or even just Hilary itself is just gonna present itself throughout Southern California and dump lots of rain. So that's gonna happen, but everything just looks pretty nondescript right now, and nothing, to note as of now. So
All right, we're here for 2 hours once again this evening. In the second hour, we'll be looking a little bit more at the Atlantic systems, and we'll be looking at the models and on this day, etc., that we normally do on our tropical weather bulletins. But right now, it is the latest on Hilary, and that's obviously going to be the theme throughout this whole stream tonight. And we may be streaming as well tomorrow, depending on what goes on with this. Thankfully, it is weakening quite substantially now. It is down to 105 miles per hour and a pressure of 964 millibars. So let me take this time to read off what the National Hurricane Center have been saying about Hilary as it stands. I mean, we're going with 105 right now. NHC have actually gone down to 100. so barely a Category 2, and they said that it appears to be weakening quickly. They acknowledged that themselves. The eye is filling and the cloud tops in the eye wall and rain bands have been warming during the past several hours. In addition, the hurricane has become increasingly asymmetric, with dry air continuing to wrap into the western half of the circulation. The Air Force hurricane hunters were investigating Hilary during the last few hours and found that the minimum pressure had risen to 959, and obviously with the time that has gone by, they've increased that a little bit more, and they went with the initial intensity of 95 knots. This was from the earlier advisory at 3 p.m. And they said that it could be a little generous, and they've been saying that quite a bit actually. But of course, it's not the winds that's going to be the real issue. But they do say it still expects to be a hurricane when it makes landfall or moves very near the central portion of the Baja California Peninsula, and a high confidence that Hilary will move into Southern California as a tropical storm. Key messages, let's read these out here as well, it's important. Preparations for flooding impacts should be completed as soon as possible, as heavy rainfall will begin well in advance of the center. In the southwest of the United States, the potentially historic amount of rainfall is expected to cause flash urban and arroyo flooding, including landslides, mudslides, and debris flows. Dangerous to locally catastrophic flooding impacts are expected late tonight through early Monday. Hurricane conditions expected along the west central coast of the Baja California Peninsula within the hurricane warning area tonight and Sunday morning, and are possible in the hurricane watch area on Sunday. Tropical storm conditions expected to begin Sunday in portions of the southwestern United States within the tropical storm warning area. Winds could be particularly strong and gusty in and near areas of higher terrain. Gusty winds expected to spread well inland across the western US. And large swells generated by Hilary will affect portions of the Baja California Peninsula and Southern California over the next couple of days. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. My voice is dying out because I'm so dry right now. I'm going to pour myself a drink. So I don't know if Jonesy or Corgi or Sam or anyone would like to
Well, I'll take over.
chat
Yeah,
for the
you can
next few minutes and just
You can
But-
take over.
but,
looking at it.
and
basically-
feel free to
No,
answer
I'll
viewer
take
questions whilst you're at it.
Okay. Let me just get the live stream pulled up so I can answer some of your questions because I am not following it. I am currently animating as well. So let me just get this up. All right. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. But basically, so some of the most recent ones are let's see. Okay. Well. Well, I'm sorry. Chad, what are your thoughts on the storm right now? What do you think about what do you think will happen in Baja California with all the rainfall that's going to be produced by this storm?
Well, basically, it's a life-threatening situation for all the California states and the Baja California state as well. It's something that it never happens quite a lot. That's actually a pretty extremely rare situation for all the people in both states, in the United States, in California, and here in Mexico by the state of Baja California. Basically, the cities are important cities in Baja California are Tijuana, Ensenada, Tecate as well. Those are cities that are practically under the warnings and the threatenings of this particular system that are going to receive at least 4 or 5 inches of rain, at least, depending on how fast this thing moves and how also intense gets there, of course. So, well, there's a question for Hurricane Alton Ever 913, and the question is: are the tornado threats going to be less than Ian of last year? Well, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But
Yes,
another
it's going to be much less than that. It's
An odd comparison.
There is a 2% risk of tornadoes for tomorrow. This is mainly just for the Yuma, Arizona, for the Vegas area, and eastern parts of California. So there's going to be areas are going to have some rotating bands. But obviously, this part of the country usually doesn't get much tornado wise, and the terrain's usually not that favorable for tornadoes.
Yeah.
So there's only 2% risk, so there's definitely not going to be a lot of tornadoes coming out of Hilary than compared to, say, Atlantic systems.
We have another question here from not Mr. Popular 009 again. And he asks, at Force 13, any thoughts about evacuation orders or advisories in effect for California? Personally, I do not believe that there will be any evacuation orders or advisories.
So,
Although, I mean, if hypothetically, people did live in Death Valley, then there might be some evacuation orders, considering how, as pointed out by Aiden Jones earlier in chat, that Hurricane K, its remnants, did cause erosion on a highway leading to Death Valley. So this could, cause some damage in Death Valley for what little industrialization they have there, considering how it is in the middle of a desert with
For
the
good reason.
highest recorded temperatures in the United States. So,
so I saw earlier that they have put out some evacuation advisory for, I think it was Catalina Island.
Oh yes, Catalina Island is. I've actually been there before. But Catalina Island is the island that is closest to California. It is somewhat of a popular.
It's right off of LA.
Yeah, it's somewhat
Those
of a popular
islands, they're
tourist
gonna
destination. I believe there's only one, census designated place, which is basically like a fully inhabited community, which would be Avalon. And then, of course, there's also the unincorporated area of Two Harbors. So, yeah, there could be dangerous surf, and even dangerous, or possibly life-threatening storm surge in the very coastal areas, which, if you live right on the coast and are watching from Catalina, then I would advise you to take take stronger precautions than mainland California, as the island is definitely smaller and has more area covered by water, which could definitely cause some major storm surge, and also even possibly a little bit of flooding, especially in Avalon, which, I mean, right next to the ocean. But that's really my thoughts on it.
So,
Yes.
I would like to say, actually, I know people are very, very, very concerned about this. And
However,
I think the best thing to do in this situation is, if you are in Southern California or Baja California, or you know people there, make sure that you are aware of what to do should you be placed under a flash flood warning or advisory, or even a tornado warning. As we said earlier, there isn't a very high threat of it, but there is still a threat of it. So know what to do in those situations. Make sure you're prepared, and yeah.
Thankfully, if I'm coming from a personal standpoint here, California is actually, especially in my area, is actually very good about issuing advisories, as I remember just a few times during the flooding that we had in December and January, which basically my phone went off, and basically everyone else at school, their phone just went off and did like the Amber Alert sound, but instead for a flash flooding advisory. And so if you are placed under those, then definitely do take necessary precautions. However, flooding isn't expected to be extraordinarily life-threatening, as long as you are on higher ground and are away from low-lying areas. And so if you are in very low-lying areas that are closer to sea level than average in Southern California, then you should definitely take necessary precautions. And if the flooding does get bad enough, then possibly, you know, do what you need to protect yourself and ensure that you are safe and nothing is damaged. This isn't expected to bring damage like a hurricane or even like, I mean, like a hurricane or major hurricane on basically, the East Coast and Gulf Coast, but is still expected to cause damage and could cause damage which is, like very major considering how relative to the amount of precipitation and storms that Southern California gets, this could definitely deal major damage. And so pretty much everyone living in these areas should definitely be aware of what is happening. I feel. Or, sorry. Go ahead.
James Beltree says, "What are your thoughts about 6L becoming a short-lived tropical storm? I don't think it can be ruled out."
DNHP does not expect it to be much longer than a short-lived tropical depression.
Can't
and
ever rule out tropical storm
can't
when
ever
these
rule it
things
out, I
spin
guess.
up.
I don't know.
It could be a short-lived TS.
Well, has there been ASCAT?
I don't know. What is the high pressure? What is this? What the high pressure system in the central US, or will it prevent Hilary's moisture moving east of the US? What? I'm guessing the question is high pressure, which we know is quite dominant in the central United States right now.
Yes.
Will it shield? Will the shield hold when Hillary blows through?
Well,
I would imagine
mean,
so.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to like barge it again, but from what I went off from my weather app as the high pressure is expected to bring a heat wave to California after Hillary passes, so it isn't expected to do anything notable to the current storm as it approaches, but it very well, I mean, it is still very well expected to impact California after Hillary, which could deal further damage as heat waves are also serious events in themselves, and it would basically kind of be a situation where after California has been somewhat weakened from Hillary, another heat wave could deal some more damage to people who already have experienced economic losses from the flooding. So everyone in California still needs to be aware of the storm and the possible effects after the storm as well.
Let's take a look at these small-scale storms that are occurring right now near Fresno and moving northwestwards. Interesting look about them. There's been a few special weather statements there, but no severe thunderstorm warnings. I wonder if any of our severe team, I don't know who's still in our chat right now, has any thoughts to share about this image in front of us. No. Okay. But they certainly look quite interesting on this radar imagery. Small-scale storms that are moving through northwestwards right now.
Nathan, just one quick thing. I did actually get from the live chat that Catalina Island has been evacuated, so that it is good. But just wanted to mention that as well. So if anyone is wondering.
So that's this area. Now let's look further east again. I was talking about Las Vegas not long ago. Looks like they're under quite a lot of rainfall right now. I'm not going to go to the super close-up radars because it's too much messing about at the minute. But to the northeast of there as well, a few cells moving in towards St. George, and to the southeast of there, all desert areas that are getting quite inundated in a few spots there with some pretty discrete cells, but obviously nothing too severe, but certainly torrential rainfall in a lot of those locations that could cause flash flooding. And as you look further south as well, there's not so much going on down there yet, but if you're wondering why there's a big cutoff here, that's because it's the edge of the radar scope, so it's not like It's not true that there's absolutely nothing down here, because obviously that's where the storm is. There's lots more down there. And there is the center of Hilary as we start to have fading light from the visible imagery, getting close to nightfall, where the storm is at this time. Still moving north-northwest, probably closer to north than north-northwest maybe at the moment, but generally moving towards the Baja California Peninsula. Its low-level circulation is quite different to the upper level now. There's the low level, and the upper level looks like this, so quite a big distance between the two, and that's a sure sign. Well, it's decoupling, probably caused by wind shear, and dry air is also taking a major toll, with a big gap here now in that latest frame, and gaps that are opening up all around here, just on the way to really on a substantial weakening trend, and an irreversible one as well.
I do also want to point out, I believe we have multiple flood warnings ongoing in effect, affecting, I believe, well, actually, don't think that, I meant to say flood watches. We do have,
Right.
the flood watches are extending all the way from Southern California all the way up to northern Idaho, and this is all in association with Hilary. So,
Yeah.
Hilary, just to give you an idea, that Hilary's effects in terms of flooding are going to be felt all the way up the west coast, toward near the west coast, but into more so into the interior western United States. Um, Basically, that's going to encompass uh, even parts of eastern Oregon and west central Idaho, and even going into as far east as Utah. So this is really um, even for those who are not in the path directly in the path of the storm. Once this gets past once this gets past California, it's still going to have a lot. It's still going to produce. It's still going to be a big rainmaker.
You said
Even
Utah with a bit of surprise. There is actually an ongoing flash flood warning there, that is in effect until 7:45 p.m. for west central Kane and east central Washington counties.
Yeah, and I do want to read that out real quick. That this is going to include the following areas: Zion National Park as well as Springdale. And this is actually a considerable flash flood warning as well. So, this they are mentioning that life-threatening flash flooding could be ongoing as of this time, where thunderstorms are potentially in association with Hilary, is producing heavy rain across portions of Zion National Park, especially through Parunaweep Canyon, Pine Creek, Lower Clear Creek, Spry Canyon, and Keyhole Canyon, where where over an inch of rain has fallen in the area, and dispatch has reported multiple small waterfalls throughout the park, and the East Fork Virgin River gauge near Springdale reported a rapid streamflow increase peaking near 800 CFS, where additional rainfall amounts of up to half an inch are possible in the warned area, where flash flooding is either ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So if you are in those areas, if you are in Zion National Park, you need to get out of the area as soon as possible. And absolutely, it's nighttime is now falling in the area. You want to make sure that you are staying aware and make sure that you are do not that you stay away from flooded areas. They do point out that it's important to know where you are relative to streams, rivers, or creeks, which can become killers in heavy rains. Campers and hikers should avoid streams or creeks for those at Zion National Park. But this is also some good advice for those who are uh, practically in the heavy rainfall path, especially for those who are in the moderate and high risks of excessive rainfall.
All right, thank you for that. A few more questions that are appearing, and feel free to send them in. It sort of guides our coverage at times. Tommy Lowell says the Atlantic has been inactive lately, luckily, but do you think any of the other AOIs will form into our next storm? 6L could do it,
Maybe.
but I think one of the others definitely will. I think the one in the Eastern Atlantic right now may already be a tropical storm. If we could cut back to it, that's the East Pacific, but the Atlantic there, the eastern area there, that could already be a tropical storm. That convection looks good and only increasing in those latest frames. And I reckon
Is that the one
just by
over the Antilles?
no, the Eastern Atlantic.
Oh,
And it looks to me as though it may have a rotation as well. The Antilles one also looks good. Bit of burst of convection building up over where a centre might be. So these chances surely got to go way up. But that eastern one, I could be convinced that that is a tropical storm now.
now what do you think of the potential Gulf system?
I think that you can never trust the Gulf.
Yeah, that's true.
Storms
I mean, it
can
does have
form out
that
of
eddy.
nothing. But if it did form, it would be very late. It would be just before it makes landfall on the border between the US and Mexico. So it would be a very weak tropical storm, but it is
Probably
absolutely
something like
possible.
probably something like reminiscent of Imelda of 2019.
But not Storley. Imelda
Yeah,
was
but not
horrendous
stalling, but rather
flooding.
like forming, like, as it makes landfall, like Imelda did. So, I mean, could be one of those.
No, forming before it made landfall.
I meant like, right before it makes landfall, not like as,
Yeah.
but right before.
Like Danny,
Yeah, like Danny.
but in the Gulf.
Oh, I just realized that.
And did Recon fly in Hurricane Hilary? Yes, they did earlier on. They got a pressure of 959. It's since they've inferred that it weakened a little bit more. So 964 is actually the official intensity right now. And their wind speed, NHC's wind speed is actually slightly lower than what we're currently running with at 100 miles per hour. Of course, the next National Hurricane Center update will be in an hour and a half. We won't be here for that, but that's when to expect their next update at around about 3 a.m. UTC, which is 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Mountain Time. They're still using. Go ahead.
You know what? I'll just wait until I'm done with this.
Okay. And James says 6L just lost its main convection.
Oh, that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, yeah.
Let's look back at that image again. Did it lose it? We didn't really talk about that one. Let's watch this again. I think it's just loading a new frame as well. Oh, it's being sheared off.
Yeah. Goodbye,
have a look.
6L. We hardly knew ya.
Ascat has hit 98L.
Right, which one is that?
98L was what became 6L.
No, that was 99L.
Oh, 99.
Confusing.
No, 99L is the one in the eastern. 98L
No,
was the one
no.
with 6L.
99L is 6L. 98L is still 98L. And Ascat has just hit it.
Okay, that's the one in the east.
Oh,
I
yeah,
want to know about
yeah.
this. What happened?
Okay.
I think it partially missed, question mark. Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to look.
You're right. Sorry. Thank you for actually pointing that out to me. I had 98 as 99L on this thing that I'm
No,
making.
we've got...
Can you send a
What
link?
have we got now? 6L, 98L, 90L, AOI3, and AOI4.
Can you send a link to this ASCAP pass? I want to see it.
It is in North Atlantic on the Discord server.
Oh, joy.
And I'm pretty sure Ascat has missed 6L.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Now you're
of
going to have
course
to
they
make me
have.
go to North Atlantic. Let me try and find this damn thing. Okay, so they did catch it. It has not got a closed center of circulation, certainly not one that's any good. So that is not a tropical storm. So keep that one at 90%. It's very elongated, north to south. It looks it there on imagery anyway. So not a good enough closed circulation to designate the right-hand side system.
And then I'm pretty sure they missed.
Wait, you
6
said we're going
out.
90% on that.
Yeah, easily.
Okay.
And then what else? In the Western Pacific, Dora.
I'm not even gonna go to the Western Pacific. We're gonna do models in a little bit. We can talk about that again then.
Oh, exciting.
But for the time being, let's just home in again here on Hilary. Keep sending in your comments and questions. Start your message with Force 13, all in text. After we're done at this hour, we will be sending you all over to the automated stream. All you have to do is just stay in the video, what you're watching on the stream, and it will redirect you to the automated stream, which is a little out of date, but I will quickly update it as soon as we go off the air. But that's the plan. So if you've just joined us, the latest takeaway headlines from this right now is that Hurricane Hilary is a dangerous storm continuing northwards and is likely to drop potentially catastrophic rainfall amounts over parts of California and the Baja California Peninsula. The latest GFS model, and backed up by one or two other models as well, suggests that the Death Valley region could be the area that gets the most rainfall at 5 inches. And the average rainfall amount in a year in Death Valley is 2 inches. So 2.5 years worth of rainfall for Death Valley possibly. And some other models like the Icon think it might be even more than that, towards 8 inches, which of course is 4 years worth. I know that a few people have said. I know that a few people have said that, you know, this has happened before, and it certainly has. I'm not sure what the record is in a day or in 2 days or in a week for Death Valley, but it's more than an average year is what's being expected. So, and of course, areas near you, Corgi, in the hills, northeast and north of Los Angeles and San Bernardino, could get 4 inches, maybe pushing a little bit higher than that as well. When was the last time you saw that amount of rain?
Honestly, I don't know. We did get a lot of rain back in December, and so I'm pretty sure I actually don't think we've ever experienced 4 inches so far, because to put that into perspective, that's about the size of around like a credit card or like a popsicle stick. So although it seems small in terms of amount of rain on the ground in front of you, that's at least enough to have like a significant like puddle, like to get up to your like ankles, like and stuff like that, just on the ground, assuming it stays. So that is a lot of rain for Californian standards, and as mentioned earlier, because the ground isn't equipped to deal with all of this because of the recurrent drought. This could lead to the ground having a hard time dealing with all of the water. So this could definitely lead to more easily acquired flooding for the region. But still, nothing has happened yet. So all we can do is predict for as now.
Just going through some of these satellite imagery viewers here, and really dry on the left-hand side of the center there. Although where exactly is the center? That's a good question, because it's not so much that it's a dry center, it's that west of center, I should say, but the center is actually here. And if you just look at the higher levels on this satellite imagery, you would think that it was actually here. And the more you look at that, the more it just looks like This area here is pushing that way. This area here is sort of moving that way. It's breaking apart right now at the seams by the looks of things here. But it is still a powerful storm, and even if it did completely break up and went down to 30 miles per hour, this could still deliver huge, devastating amounts of rainfall, and may already be doing so. We've heard a few of those flash flood warnings so far, and there is still, there were 2 active, but I think that may have just gone down to 1. But team, if that's wrong, please let me know.
I actually have a question for the chat.
Oh, right.
Is anyone in Baja California and can tell us what is going on there?
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
Good question.
If anyone in the chat is from from Baja California, then definitely do tell what's going on. Statistically, not likely, but it would be a kind of a nice surprise if anyone is from there. So, region hasn't experienced a hurricane like this since Odile. So, I mean, of course, it's had some tropical storm landfalls, if I'm correct, since 2014, but not to the extent of what we're seeing so far. But
Cesar, what do you think the conditions would be there right now?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's practically cloudy, possibly some rain, but not severe as far. But probably those conditions will gonna get worse and worse as the night, as nighttime starts over those places, and possibly the winds are going to pack up as well. Possibly in the western side of both states, Baja California and Baja California Sur. But yeah, definitely right now the conditions are practically cloudy as far as I know. But yeah, the rain, the real deal with the rain and wind are going to start possibly tomorrow.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, I have up on my screen. I will say the boxes at the top where the information are looks a little bad. It's because I had to do this on Office 365.
Just before you go on to that, just want to point out these storms appear to be shaking things up a little bit to the west of Fresno right now, and we have 2 special weather statements that have just been issued there as well. So something to watch out for in the next half hour. And in about 5 minutes, we'll be taking a look at the worldwide models. But now to Jonesy.
Right, so those boxes at the top with the information, because I don't have a PowerPoint subscription, I had to do it in the online PowerPoint, so I do apologize for it looking very janky. I need this to load in really quickly, if you can do that. Okay, there we go. So as we have here, this is the little area that we were seeing in the Eastern Pacific. And the models are saying that could go into Costa Rica and the border of this country down there that I'm not even going to try pronouncing, because if I try to pronounce it, it's going to end up badly.
Wait, what?
Wait, which one is it?
Nicaragua.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I believe you said that we have 40% odds on that one, Nathan. The other,
but
Eastern
I
Pacific
can't ignore why you've put Hilary down to a Category 1 already.
That's because the Cyclone Analyst team has put the Zero Seed fix. They have put Hilary as an 85-mile-an-hour Category 1, and that I was going with what we were having earlier, and then I took a peek in there, and I saw, okay, they put it at Cat 1, so that's just screwing me over. I have to fix that.
Well, maybe. I mean, I've not looked at it for 3 hours, so I don't think it will have weakened that much, but who knows?
I'm going to probably say that it is probably somewhere between that and what the NHC has at 100. My guesstimate probably might be closer to 90, 95. That's probably what I would go more with. 90, 95 miles an hour is probably realistically what it is. Cyclone Analyst team is running with 85 miles an hour, 968.
All right. As you were.
I would say it's probably more 90, 95 miles an hour right now, but it is definitely on a quick weakening trend.
Keep going then.
That 20% area that we have right here, that is from the NHC, and that's for the later next week. This is the 40% area that we have marked. The NHC does not have marked. This in the Gulf, still 50%. That's from the NHC. I did ask if we have a percentage on that from our cyclone analyst team. They did not get back to me, so I'm running with the NHC's odds. Obviously, 6L's over there, and what the cyclone analyst team. I think we. Oh,
That was
okay,
me.
hold on. Let me go back because I thought we just lost it for a second because I was watching it on the stream. We have 90L, we have 6L, and we have 98L. So 6L, our cyclone analyst team, has it currently at 35 miles an hour with a pressure of 1,007 millibars. 90L, which we have at 70% odds, that's matching the NHC. We have that at 30 miles an hour and 1,009 millibars. That's from the cyclone analyst team. And 90L, which you mentioned, Nathan, you have it at 90% odds of formation. That's up from the NHC's 70%, and that is at 35 miles an hour, 1,007 millibars, although some people are saying that there might be some evidence of 40 miles an hour.
I
Regardless,
think so.
that could become a tropical storm or depression within the next 12 to 24 hours. And then the final AOI that we have that is coming off of the coast of Africa right there, which is just cut off on your screen share.
Not anymore.
But not anymore. There we go. That works. 30% odds of formation on that. So definitely and obviously still because of Hilary, we do have the red bars out because of the flooding risk and the wind risk that they don't really see in that area of the country, often from tropical cyclones. That is why we still have the red bars out for the first 13 U.S. stuff, but a very, very busy area of tropics, of course, with having Hilary, 4 areas of interest, a tropical depression, and 2 invests, one of them that may already be a tropical cyclone in 98L.
Wow. Fantastic. So let's take another recap on what's going on with Hilary right now. Some significant rainfall areas moving up right now, and actually even well up towards the northwest near Reading, there is a flash flood warning, and there was a severe thunderstorm warning?
That actually looks that might be one, and it's for hailstones, it looks like, because 1-inch hail, that's enough to go severe. There is a marginal risk up there today in the northern parts of the Central Valley, and that is mainly for a wind risk. Although this is actually in the general thunderstorm risk, excuse me, there's a less than 5% hail risk in all areas, but they have 1-inch hail up there right now. Less than 2% of tornadoes, and then 5% wind risk. That is mainly for the Fresno, Modesto, Bakersfield, and Clovis areas, but it looks like that some areas might be getting some to the north of that in Northern California, and the general thunderstorm risk is getting some severe weather right now.
I would also... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would also like to go over a little bit about. I would also like to go over a thing for warnings and watches being currently issued. If you do not mind.
Of course.
Let me just go pull up a. Let me just go pull up a website or two. So which basically goes for the southern and central California. So I'm not able to find one for Central California. However, I do have one for Southern California, so we can just look at this real quick. But right now it says that a tropical storm warning is again issued for Los Angeles, southwestern San Bernardino County, which includes all of the populated areas such as Big Bear Lake, Victorville, Wrightwood, San Bernardino, Ontario, and Chino, as well as western Riverside, all of San Diego County, and all of Orange County, as well as Catalina Island, and all of the Channel Islands, as well as all of the areas off the coast. Baja
And then
California
going inland as well, yeah.
Baja California del Norte is still indeed under a hurricane warning, as well as the rest of San Bernardino County, which includes Death Valley and also Joshua Tree National Park, is under a flood watch, as well as eastern Riverside County and all of Imperial County being under a high wind warning, with I believe this to be Kern County, although I could be wrong, but this county right here is under a wind advisory. So, oh yeah, and also Ventura County is also under a tropical storm warning, which is again unusual considering how far the warning is going, with on this graphic right here the warning going all the way up to the coast, which is basically the boundary of Southern California, and this rain map right here showing that rain is expected to be very intense for basically all of central Southern California and expanding northward, with areas, as far as, as stated earlier, as far north as Oregon, and even parts of southwestern, Wyoming, to get some possibility of rainfall, which just shows, how far the moisture can really go for this storm.
Certainly.
But yeah, those are the advisories that are currently given. I wish I could show more of them for more counties of California. However, I am unable to find them.
Well, it's time for the models then. I'm sure lots of people have been looking forward. They always do look forward to this. Well, this is the GFS then, looking out towards the Atlantic Ocean. And I didn't do my due diligence getting the right thingies up, so let's take this slow. So first we start with the current picture. We've got one area of interest here, that's a moderate chance. We've got the tropical depression here, mark that with a D, and we've got this system here, which to be honest looks more impressive than all the others on the GFS, but ASCAT found that its circulation was sort of like, ooh, there. So it's really not a tropical storm, although it does, on the GFS, initialize with tropical storm force winds. So that's interesting, certainly. Yep. Further towards the west, you can't see it yet, but maybe a little disturbance there. But eventually you will see this system forming and moving in towards the Gulf. And then we've got this as well, not much of it yet, but will emerge off towards that way and could become a system. So let's see how it plays out. The latest 18Z run shows that these systems develop. I mean, that the eastern one really does well. What happens to 6L? It really dies off very quickly, actually. Gone there nearly. And then those two other systems either side of it take over. This one in the Caribbean splurges a little bit and gets stretched, and eventually I think gets a tropical storm status as it's striking the Dominican Republic.
It looked like actually, if you go back a little bit, Nathan, it looked like it became a tropical storm,
maybe
died out, and then re-strengthened as it stretched out as it goes into Hispaniola.
The eastern one, tropical storm for a little bit, and then it dies off again, but it could regenerate later on. And then the one that moves through Hispaniola turns northeastwards, recurving, and then you may get three at a time there. The Bermuda Triangle, almost, of storms. 3 active tropical storms there. That's on the 25th. That's only 5 days out, so that is possible. And that originally the eastern system now is way up there near Atlantic Canada. The strongest one is the one that originally moves through the eastern Caribbean, and there it is, becoming quite a powerful hurricane actually as it gradually moves northwards. Where's it going?
Ooh.
It is a Canada landfall. Nova
Wow.
Scotia
Wait,
there on the
is
29th.
this on the longer range?
That's the
This is
29th. That's 9
This is
days out.
moving.
Ah.
Yeah, this is moving into longer range. Yeah,
Yes.
yesterday it was taking it up towards Canada, but missing Newfoundland to the east.
Who knows?
Now it
What
looks like it's trying to make it go in between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland.
Now look at this. Tomorrow, this wave that's starting to move through Cape Verde, it's a slow but steady strengthening system here. There it is, weakens a little bit in the face of that other hurricane, and then it's going again. Oh, and then it does a turnaround, and what on earth is happening there? I don't know. But that's the super
Whoa.
long range. I don't
Wow.
know.
And now we're getting into
Yeah,
the silly range.
aka the
We're
silly
having a
range.
silly
Very
range
silly.
wants to have a Fujiwara effect in
Very
the Atlantic.
silly
it looks
indeed.
like.
And you've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but now hear about the Bermuda Tropical Cyclone Triangle on the models.
What about the thing in the Gulf?
Go for Mexico.
Yeah.
Watch this area as we play the animation. You'll start to see it developing very late. Anytime now. Well, very quickly there into a landfall. Doesn't look like a tropical cyclone there on the GFS. Other models are a little bit more happy about it. The Icon, particularly, I think, is developing it. But the
And all the
GFS
clones.
doesn't want to know. But you know about all of that really massive oceanic heat content in the Caribbean and in the Gulf, and those really warm temperatures in the Gulf. Well, guess what? 16 days, not a sausage.
Although,
it looks like the GFS. Last night it was trying to leave us with a cliffhanger with a possible major in the Gulf. Now it's like, yeah, no, I was just smoking some good stuff last night. Nothing for the
Yeah.
Gulf.
I mean, considering how hot the water temperatures are, primarily in the Gulf, this could, assuming that it doesn't get sheared or and the conditions remain favorable, then it could very well still have a shot at developing into a tropical storm, as other models have shown. Although things will have to go right with the storm, and if the storm does get sheared, then it'll probably just become a storm similar to, I believe, Invest 98L of last year, but we'll just have to see what happens with this storm. It is an interesting storm considering how it forms right off the coast of Texas and technically might make a landfall, probably will, but just a little nifty little storm over there.
Hurricane Hilary, now it's a pretty foregone conclusion. Let's just see how quick the weakening is though. And it is still, well, it loses hurricane status before that second landfall. If it is indeed a second one, it's very close to see whether that is a landfall the first time. Very close to that small, what's the name of that small island? A small island off the coast there. Still a hurricane at that point, and then it continues northwestwards. Now, strongest winds in California. Well, there was a little moment there, right along the border, and it's gone. Excellent. Let's try that again. Very close on the border there, 58 miles per hour possibly. And then further into California, there's another little spot, 58, 59. But these winds will be quite fleeting. I mean, you look at that period there, those are 3-hour periods. You just watch this area, the winds start to enter there. 1, 2, 3. That's 9 hours there, and then the winds are gone again.
It's always that right quadrant, and I mean, this is what the National Weather Service offices down there have been saying. Maybe areas close to San Diego definitely could see definitely will get tropical storm force winds, and probably around the Catalina Islands as well, as those are going to be an island channel. Because around Los Angeles, they're going to be gusting up to tropical storm force.
Yeah.
They won't really be seeing tropical storm force, and it shows right there on the GFS. It looks like the strongest of the tropical storm force winds are going to be more inland, where the rain is going to be falling.
Yeah. I also would like to have you look at the Chino, Ontario, Pomona area, as that is around where my family is from as well. I would just think that would be a little bit.
So let's look at the Los Angeles area, really close
Yeah.
in here to see what the winds get to. Blues, Is there any green? No green. So I really don't think you'll get
green.
tropical storm force winds in LA. But just
Although
briefly, there's that big
Maybe,
deep
it
shade
might
maybe
of blue.
gust up a bit because I mean,
maybe in the
36.
mount,
36
maybe in the
over there.
mountains, maybe in the
Yeah.
mountains you'll get
it'll
it,
likely
but not in LA itself.
gust up to possibly even like 50 miles an hour. Although I wouldn't bet on it. So, you know, still interesting that the storm is doing what it is doing right now. Not very common as most people already know, but not Mr. Popular 009 has also asked what else is there for the East Pacific.
I'm getting there.
But not really much.
So let's take a look then. There's another system there that may develop in low latitude, and then a second system, both of those that we've marked. Now that is a possible landfall there in is that
I believe El Salvador.
El
Which-
Salvador.
Interesting considering it's only been
And
done
much
twice before.
stronger
I mean,
storm there, a hurricane, and then a landfall into Mexico, maybe category 2 just before that landfall. Very quick system.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to. I'm gonna have to switch the the area formation then for that little one. Dang, I was
Yeah.
having that go into Costa Rica. Now it wants to
mean-
shift it to El Salvador. So
Ah.
that's
with the amount of landfalls projected, it's kind of turning into 2021. Honestly, like
Here are the
I mean-
two dead systems, Fernanda
Yep.
and Greg. What happens to them? I bet you probably not much. Well, Fernanda's still moving along past Hawaii there and still could get some enhanced winds. And nothing else at all through the whole period. Just a quick one. I think this is Dora. What happens to it? Nothing, you'll be pleased to know. And just a little note as well, this up here, that is Lan, what's left of Lan, and that is going to really kill itself off very shortly as well. So I wouldn't worry at all about Lan. And my globe just went a little bit too far in that direction. Now let's take a look at the Western Pacific. What happens here? Well, lots of broad systems that struggle to form. There is a tropical storm that moves towards Japan. Could be a Japan impact there. Oh, and then some more afterwards. An interesting typhoon running up the Ryukyu Islands. And then this is very long range now. Maybe two more there. So in short, well, the Western Pacific has lost its mojo, or should I say its MJO. North
you're being very
Indian,
punny right now.
North Indian, nothing there, and nothing anywhere else. So let's just go back one more time to the expected rainfall that we're looking at in the region that's going to be affected by Hilary, and we'll get right up close here again. Some of these mountains in the northern part of Baja getting up to 6 inches there. Ensenada 1.5.
Nathan,
Yes.
I don't believe correct me if I'm wrong if this was relayed, but I do want to note that Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency for California due to the impending
Makes sense.
flooding situation. So once again, this is breaking right now. State of emergency has been declared in California.
So, I believe I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that because a state of emergency has been declared, you know, if I'm wrong, then if I'm not wrong, then you know, people who have been affected by Hilary will be able to apply for federal aid. Am I correct?
I think.
I believe that is correct.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you know any of you are watching California, which of course a few of you are, as I've seen in the chat, if your house or property is damaged by Hilary, this does not take into account mental damages, sadly, but if you, if any of your property sustains damage, which is, you know, then I believe that you will be able to apply for federal aid, considering how, you know, a state of emergency has been declared for if I'm not wrong, all of California, as he said, but just wanted to expand upon that.
2 inches of rain expected in Los Angeles and in San Diego, and towards the mountains to the northeast, much higher amounts getting up towards 4, maybe 5 inches. But take a look much further towards the north here. Ridgecrest, 5 inches, and into the Death Valley region. Once again, I think it's the right-hand one that's Death Valley. Am I right? At 5.5 inches there, and on the mountain in between, getting up towards 6 inches. Extremely high amounts of rainfall for this area. Once again, 2 inches is what we usually see in a whole year in Death Valley. Could be 6 inches in one storm event. And northwards into Nevada as well, possibly up to 5 inches in a few spots. Las Vegas getting close to 2. To the west of it, on some of those hills, maybe 3 inches. And further north into northern Nevada, even there could get up to 4 inches over all of those, over all of that desert area in Nevada. Wow. So that's what we've got in terms of expected rainfall. And if we look further east, this is also something else we should look at though. Look at this for Hispaniola, Dominican Republic. In the next 7 days could receive over 10 inches of rainfall there. Isla Sayona 10 inches. Punta Cana 10 inches possible there as well. Santo Domingo around 7 inches there. So significant rainfall amounts up to 250 millimeters. Quite substantial.
I will say on the US2, I have updated it. I have updated Hilary to be in between the NHC and the CATs. So the NHC has it. What was it? 109.64, I believe. I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have it at 964 as well. CAT, the cyclone analyst team of ours, has it at 85.968. I for safer keeping, I put 99.66 because it would, according to Recon, it was barely Cat 2 earlier, and that was Recon around 19Z about 5 hours ago. So definitely has weakened since then. So it's probably a borderline Cat 1, Cat 2 right now, right on that border between the two categories. So I decided to call it in the middle just to be safe, because that's probably realistically what it's at right now. And when the new advisory comes out in about an hour and 10 minutes, we'll probably see Hilary as a Category 1. The question will be how much weaker is the NHC going to bring it down? So how weaker in a Category 1 is the NHC going to go?
Let's take a look at some of the latest info on these little storm cells that are pushing through near Fresno right now. We've been watching this a couple of times during the stream, and you can see here that some of these areas are being not warned, but special weather statements. Certainly some significant rainfall in some of those areas. Let me see, any localities that we can look at. Mendota, San Joaquin, just to the west of there. Getting quite a lot of rainfall right now, but as far as I know, there's no further flash flood warnings that have been issued yet.
Yes. Do you mind if I pull up the current Visalia weather station for some more detailed information, Nathan?
Yep.
Okay, so currently the Visalia weather station, let me just check this real quick, but I believe that there are some warnings issued. Right now, for some reason, the Visalia weather station does say it is partly cloudy, which on here that doesn't seem to be the case, as it shows a lot of rain going on, but it does describe that a chance of rain and thunderstorms before 11 p.m. and then there is a chance of showers and thunderstorms between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. and a chance of rain after 2 a.m. So a lot of consistent rain will occur tonight if you live near Visalia, Fresno, Bakersfield, Southern Central Valley. Sorry, but. Yeah, I'm not too sure if tornadoes will form, and if they do, they will most likely be very weak, probably an EF0, and at the very maximum EF1, but that is very unlikely. But honestly, I feel like the risk for tornadoes is somewhat marginal, although that could rise if conditions do become much more favorable. But that's all I really have to say from the website.
There is a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's what we did see earlier for the hailstones, 1-inch hailstones, quarter-size hail, 50-mile-an-hour winds. That's up in the north parts of the Central Valley. For Platina, California, a population of 120 people, that goes till the top of this hour. So that's the only severe thunderstorm warning that we have out right now in the state of California.
And to reiterate the 2 flash flood warnings that are in effect right now, northwestern Siskiyou County in Northern California, they've reported thunderstorms producing flash flooding near the Happy Camp area, flash flooding ongoing, and that warning is in effect until 7:30 p.m. And for the McFarland burn scar in southwestern Shasta County and west central Tehama counties until 9 p.m., thunderstorms producing heavy rain over that burn scar, flash flooding ongoing, are expected to begin shortly and could result in debris flows, which can consist of rock, mud, vegetation, and other loose materials. Dangerous conditions in both of those 2 zones, and that last warning there is in effect until 9 o'clock. Well, that's pretty much all we have time for with our commentary team. I hope everyone's managed to say what they wanted to on tonight's stream, and it's been a pleasure once again having you all here, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. To everyone like me in California, I do hope all of you stay safe from the flooding that's going to happen, as well as Nevadans right now. But I wish all of you the best, and I hope that everyone stays safe. If if you are affected, then definitely do reach out to us and let us know, because we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on what's happened, especially for people who are in the the path of the storm. But I would just like to
all right.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much for that. Let's tell you about some of the other stuff that's going on. 413's Eastern Tour is coming up in less than 3 weeks now, 2.5 weeks. Athens, Singapore, Cebu, and Hong Kong. We're traveling east. If you want to join in with us and maybe join us along for the ride, you can send us a message. We're also on Discord, discord.gg/Force13 for tropical weather and general weather chat, with over 3,500 weather watchers from all around the world. So what happened on this day? It was 2012, August 20th, when we had Typhoon Tembin, a Category 4, reaching its first peak on this day. We also had Tropical Storm Balavan to its east, would also become a strong typhoon in its own right, and Gordon, which was turning post-tropical just to the northeast of the Azores. Tembin, of course, was quite a strong storm, a small one compared to Balavan, which would certainly outshine it in terms of its size as it paraded through the Western Pacific. Well, back to today. That was 11 years ago now. In the Atlantic, the next name is still Emily. We've not had it yet. It's close at hand, we think. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Irwin, and in the Central Pacific, it is still everyone now. One.
Oh, nay.
Oh my god. In the Western Pacific, it's Saola, and in the North Indian Ocean, it is Tej. Blimey.
The storm did get named, and then it would be Hamoon, but
Australian region, next name is Jasper. Southwest Indian Ocean, Alvaro. Next name in the South Pacific is Lola. We'll have more updates on Hilary throughout the course of its rest of its life, and we'll be back again soon. Good night. On to the automated stream.